President Richard Hayes stood before the United Nations General Assembly, knowing that his next words would change humanity's understanding of their place in the universe forever. The classified briefings he had received over the past month had revealed that Earth's isolation was not due to being overlooked, but because 47 different alien civilizations had collectively decided humans were too dangerous to contact directly. The president explained to the assembled world leaders that first contact had already occurred, and that humanity was being invited to join a galactic community that had been avoiding them for centuries. The aliens needed human help against an external threat, but they were still terrified of what humans might do with advanced technology and knowledge of other inhabited worlds. Dr. Nancy Foster from the State Department had been working with alien psychologists to develop new diplomatic protocols that could bridge the gap between human and alien psychology. She had discovered that the key to successful cooperation was helping both sides understand that human aggression was primarily defensive rather than predatory. The alien psychological assessments had been based on observations of human behavior during conflicts, but had missed the crucial fact that humans were most dangerous when they felt threatened or cornered. When treated as equals and partners rather than potential threats, humans could be incredibly cooperative and creative. Commander Billy Chen was selected to lead the first joint human-alien military exercise designed to demonstrate that humans could control their warrior instincts when working toward mutual goals. The exercise would take place in neutral space with volunteers from both human and alien military forces. The joint exercise was carefully planned to showcase human tactical abilities while reassuring aliens that human military skills could be channeled toward protection rather than conquest. Human forces would work alongside alien units to defend a simulated colony against automated attackers that represented the external threat. Ambassador Kethvar had been joined by representatives from 12 other alien species, all of whom had been studying humanity for decades. Each species brought their own fears and concerns about human nature, but they were all desperate enough to overcome their terror and ask for human assistance. The joint military exercise exceeded everyone's expectations. Human tactical flexibility and adaptability meshed perfectly with alien technology and resources. Human commanders proved capable of coordinating complex operations involving multiple alien species with different capabilities and communication methods. Captain Kate Murphy was assigned to establish the first permanent human-alien research station, where scientists from both sides could work together on developing defenses against the approaching external threat. The research station would be located in neutral territory, with equal representation from human and alien personnel. The research collaboration revealed that the external threat was indeed similar to humanity, but without human concepts of mercy, cooperation, or restraint. The approaching enemy was a species that had evolved along similar predatory lines, but had never developed beyond pure conquest and consumption. Dr. Foster realized that the galaxy's peaceful species had encountered their worst nightmare in the form of humans without humanity's redeeming qualities. The external threat represented what humans might have become if they had never learned cooperation, compassion, and the ability to choose peace even when possessing the power for war. The alien species had spent thousands of years developing advanced technology through cooperation and shared knowledge, but they had never developed the psychological framework necessary to fight an extinction-level war. They needed humanity's warrior spirit, but they also needed human leadership to coordinate their scattered civilizations. Commander Chen's joint exercises proved that humans could serve as effective military coordinators for alien forces. Human psychology that made them dangerous to enemies also made them natural leaders during crisis situations. Humans instinctively understood concepts like sacrifice, courage, and determination that were foreign to most alien species. Captain Murphy's research station became the center for developing new strategies that combined human tactical thinking with alien technology. The collaboration produced innovative approaches to warfare that neither humans nor aliens could have developed independently. The breakthrough came when human researchers realized that the external threat's greatest weakness was their inability to adapt to unexpected cooperation between different species. The approaching enemy expected to face individual civilizations that could be conquered separately, but would not be prepared for a coordinated galactic defense. Ambassador Ray Powell was appointed as the first human representative to the Galactic Council, where he would help coordinate the defense against the external threat. His appointment marked the first time a member species from a predator background had been given a leadership role in galactic affairs. The Galactic Council sessions revealed the full scope of the challenge facing the galaxy. The external threat was not just another conquering species, but represented an entirely different approach to galactic civilization based on consumption rather than cooperation. Dr. Foster's diplomatic protocols proved successful in bridging the psychological gap between humans and aliens. Once alien species understood that human aggression was defensive rather than predatory, they began to appreciate human military virtues like loyalty, courage, and determination. The joint defense planning sessions showed that humans brought unique capabilities that the galactic community desperately needed. Human strategic thinking, psychological resilience, and adaptability were exactly the traits required to coordinate an effective defense against an enemy that thought like humans but lacked human restraint. President Hayes addressed the world again, 6 months after first contact, to announce that humanity had been formally accepted as the military leadership of the Galactic Defense Alliance. Earth would serve as the coordination center for a coalition of over 200 alien civilizations. The irony was not lost on human leaders that aliens had avoided Earth for centuries because they feared human military capabilities. But now those same capabilities were exactly what the galaxy needed for survival. The secret fear that had kept aliens from attacking Earth had become the galaxy's greatest hope. Commander Chen established the Galactic Defense Academy, where human military officers would train alongside alien personnel to create integrated command structures. The academy would combine human tactical doctrine with alien technology to create new forms of warfare adapted for galactic-scale conflicts. Captain Murphy's research station expanded into a major facility where human scientists worked with alien researchers to develop weapons and strategies that could counter the approaching threat. The collaboration produced technological advances that benefited both human and alien civilizations. The final revelation came through Ambassador Powell's negotiations with the most advanced alien species. The galaxy needed humanity's warrior spirit not just to fight the external threat, but to serve as a permanent guardian against future dangers that peaceful civilizations could not handle alone. The aliens admitted that they had been waiting for humanity to mature enough to become the galaxy's protectors rather than its conquerors. They had observed human development for centuries, hoping that humans would eventually develop the wisdom to use their dangerous capabilities responsibly. The secret fear that had kept aliens from attacking Earth was based on recognition that humans possessed exactly the traits that the galaxy would someday need. Rather than trying to eliminate or control this dangerous species, the aliens had chosen to wait and hope that humans would choose to use their power to protect rather than destroy. President Hayes concluded his final address to the United Nations by noting that humanity's greatest strength had always been their ability to choose cooperation over conflict when given the opportunity. The galaxy had finally offered humans that opportunity, and humanity had chosen to become protectors rather than conquerors, proving that the aliens' long wait had been justified. Admiral Pete Jackson was reviewing the latest alien intelligence reports when he discovered the most disturbing information yet. The aliens had not only been studying human military history, but had been running detailed computer simulations of what would happen if various alien species attempted to invade Earth. The results of those simulations explained why no alien civilization had ever dared to attack humanity directly. The simulation reports showed a consistent pattern across all scenarios. Alien forces would achieve initial victories against human military units due to superior technology and weapons. However, within months or sometimes weeks, human forces would begin adapting to alien tactics and reverse engineering captured technology. Dr. Julie Martinez from the Advanced Research Division was brought in to analyze the alien technical assessments of human innovation capabilities. She discovered that the aliens had been particularly disturbed by humanity's approach to warfare as a science rather than simply a last resort for survival. The alien reports noted that most species viewed combat as an unfortunate necessity that should be ended as quickly as possible through surrender or retreat. Humans were unique in treating warfare as a complex problem that required systematic study, improvement, and innovation. This scientific approach to violence was completely foreign to species that had evolved through cooperation. Colonel Sam Wright received access to classified alien files about something called the Terran Doctrine, which had become a standard warning protocol in alien military academies across the galaxy. The doctrine warned that any attack on Earth would likely result in humans eventually conquering the homeworlds of their attackers. The Terran Doctrine was based on detailed analysis of human military history and psychology. Alien strategists had noted that humans did not simply defend themselves when attacked, but actively sought to eliminate threats at their source. This meant that any species foolish enough to attack Earth would face eventual retaliation on their home territory. Captain Laura Green was assigned to study the aliens' most frightening assessment of human capabilities. The alien analysts had concluded that humans appeared to have no biological or psychological upper limit to their capacity for violence when they believed their species' survival was at stake. The alien files contained comparative studies of intelligent species and their warfare limitations. Most species had evolved built-in restrictions that prevented them from engaging in conflicts that might threaten their own extinction. These psychological barriers kept alien civilizations from developing weapons of total destruction or strategies of complete annihilation. Humans were different according to the alien analysis. When faced with existential threats, humans showed a willingness to risk mutual destruction rather than accept defeat. This psychological trait made humans unpredictable and extremely dangerous because other species could not calculate safe limits for conflict with humanity. Admiral Jackson found detailed alien assessments of human technological development during wartime. The aliens had been amazed and terrified by how rapidly human technology advanced during periods of conflict. They noted that human wars had produced more scientific breakthroughs in decades than peaceful alien civilizations achieved in millennia. The alien reports specifically mentioned how competition between human nations had driven developments in nuclear physics, rocket technology, computers, and communications. This competitive innovation was completely alien to species that shared technology freely and avoided conflict-driven research. Dr. Martinez discovered that the aliens had been particularly disturbed by human development of weapons of mass destruction. The alien analysts could not understand why any species would create weapons capable of destroying their own planet. To aliens, this seemed like obvious insanity, but they had been forced to accept that humans considered such weapons rational tools of deterrence. The alien psychological profile suggested that most species would rather face extinction than risk destroying their homeworld. The fact that humans had actually come close to nuclear war during the Cold War proved to aliens that humans were willing to gamble with planetary destruction when they felt sufficiently threatened. Colonel Wright learned about alien attempts to model human responses to invasion using historical examples. The aliens had studied every major human conflict and identified patterns that terrified their military planners. Humans consistently escalated conflicts beyond what other species considered reasonable limits. The alien analysis noted that humans had a tendency to turn any available resource into a weapon when facing extinction. During World War II, humans had converted entire industrial economies into war production and had developed completely new categories of weapons within years, rather than decades. Captain Green found the most disturbing alien assessment in files labeled human revenge patterns. The aliens had documented how humans responded to attacks on civilian populations by escalating to total warfare against enemy civilians. This pattern of expanding conflict beyond military targets was completely foreign to alien thinking. The alien reports described human strategic bombing campaigns and noted with horror how humans had deliberately targeted enemy cities and civilian infrastructure. Most alien species had biological programming that prevented them from attacking non-combatants, but humans appeared to have no such restrictions when sufficiently motivated. Admiral Jackson reviewed alien intelligence about human special operations capabilities. The aliens had been studying human commando and guerrilla warfare tactics and had concluded that humans were uniquely suited for asymmetric conflict. Even if aliens achieved overwhelming victory against human conventional forces, they would face endless irregular warfare. The alien military assessments predicted that occupied human territories would never remain pacified because human psychology included concepts like revenge, honor, and resistance that were largely absent from alien thinking. Humans would continue fighting, even when defeat was mathematically certain. Dr. Martinez found alien studies of human resistance movements during World War II and other conflicts. The aliens noted that humans would continue organized resistance for years or decades after conventional defeat. This meant that conquering Earth would require permanent occupation with enormous military resources. The alien analysts had calculated that successfully occupying Earth would require more military forces than most alien civilizations could sustain indefinitely. The cost of permanent occupation would eventually bankrupt any species that attempted it while facing constant human resistance and sabotage. Colonel Wright discovered that the aliens had been particularly troubled by human development of guerrilla warfare doctrine. The aliens noted that humans had systematized insurgency tactics and had created military manuals for conducting resistance operations under occupation. The alien reports mentioned human military theorists who had written detailed guides for defeating technologically superior occupying forces through patience adaptation and unconventional tactics. This systematic approach to resistance warfare was unique among known intelligent species. Captain Green learned that the aliens had identified what they called the human endurance factor in their strategic assessments. Unlike other species that would surrender when facing hopeless odds, humans showed a disturbing tendency to continue fighting even when victory was impossible. The alien psychological profiles suggested that humans derived meaning and purpose from struggles against overwhelming odds. Where other species saw hopeless situations, humans apparently saw opportunities to prove their worth through resistance and sacrifice. Admiral Jackson found the final piece of the alien strategic assessment in files marked Civilization Recovery Rates. The aliens had studied how quickly human societies rebuilt after devastating conflicts and had been amazed by humanity's rapid recovery capabilities. The alien reports noted that human civilizations could recover from wars that destroyed most of their infrastructure within a few decades. This meant that even if aliens achieved temporary victory against humans, the human species would likely rebuild and eventually seek revenge with improved technology and tactics. The comprehensive alien assessment concluded that attacking Earth would be the worst strategic mistake any alien civilization could make. Humans were simply too dangerous, resilient, and unpredictable to conquer safely, and any attempt to do so would likely result in the eventual destruction of the attacking species. General Frank Davis received the classified alien intelligence files at his office in the Pentagon, 3 days after the first formal meeting with Ambassador Kethvar. The files contained psychological assessments of humanity that had been compiled by dozens of different alien species over the past century. What he read in those files made him call an emergency meeting with his senior staff. The aliens had been studying human behavior patterns and had identified what they called threat signals that humanity had been unconsciously broadcasting for centuries. These were not technological signals, but behavioral patterns that alien psychologists recognized as markers of apex predator species. Dr. Karen Phillips was brought in from the Defense Department's Behavioral Science Division to analyze the alien psychological profiles. She found that most alien species in the galaxy had evolved as either prey animals or peaceful cooperators. They had developed advanced civilizations through cooperation and avoiding conflict, rather than through competition and warfare. The alien reports described humans as persistence predators who would chase their prey for days or weeks until it collapsed from exhaustion. This hunting strategy had shaped human psychology in ways that other species found deeply disturbing. Humans did not give up when faced with obstacles, but instead became more determined and creative. Commander Tony Walsh was assigned to study the alien military intelligence about previous attempts to invade human civilizations. The files contained detailed reports from alien species that had tried to conquer primitive human tribes thousands of years ago. Every attempt had ended in complete failure and the elimination of the alien invaders. One report described how the Craxi Empire had landed on Earth during the Bronze Age with the intention of establishing mining colonies. The Craxi had superior weapons and technology, but had underestimated human adaptability. Within months, human tribes had learned to use captured alien weapons and had begun coordinating attacks against the invaders. The Craxi report noted with alarm how quickly humans had reverse-engineered their technology and improved upon it. Human blacksmiths had figured out how to repair alien energy weapons using primitive tools. Human warriors had developed new tactics specifically designed to counter alien advantages. Most disturbing to the Craxi was how human tribes had begun working together against the common threat. Species that had been fighting each other for generations had suddenly formed alliances and shared information about how to kill aliens. The Craxi had expected to face individual tribes but instead found themselves fighting an increasingly organized human resistance. Agent Susan Clark was tasked with interrogating a captured alien scout who had been monitoring Earth's military capabilities. The scout belonged to a species called the Vorthak, who had been watching human development for the past 50 years. Under questioning, the scout revealed the aliens' greatest fear about humanity. The scout explained that most intelligent species had biological or psychological barriers that prevented them from committing genocide or total warfare. These barriers had evolved to prevent species from destroying themselves through internal conflicts. Humans appeared to have no such barriers when they believed their survival was threatened. The alien scout provided examples from human history where entire civilizations had been completely destroyed by other humans. It noted that humans had developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet and had actually come close to using them during conflicts with other humans. No other known species had ever developed such weapons or shown willingness to risk total extinction. Dr. Phillips discovered that the aliens had a specific term for human behavior during existential threats. They called it the extinction response, and described it as humanity's tendency to escalate conflicts to maximum intensity when facing potential annihilation. The aliens believed this response made humans uniquely dangerous because they would choose mutual destruction over surrender. General Davis learned that the aliens had been running computer simulations of various invasion scenarios for decades. Every model showed the same pattern. Initial alien victories would be followed by rapid human adaptation, technological advancement, and eventually, humans becoming the aggressors in the conflict. The alien simulations predicted that any attempt to conquer Earth would result in humans eventually developing interstellar travel and hunting down the homeworlds of their attackers. The aliens believed that humans would not be satisfied with simply repelling an invasion, but would seek to completely eliminate any species that threatened them. Commander Walsh found reports describing how human conflicts had driven more rapid technological advancement than peaceful alien species achieved in millennia. The aliens noted that human wars had led to developments in medicine, engineering, communications, and space travel that would have taken other species thousands of years to discover. One alien report specifically mentioned how humans had gone from primitive flight to landing on their moon in less than 70 years, largely due to military competition between human nations. The report noted that this rate of advancement was unprecedented among known intelligent species, and suggested that human warfare actually accelerated their technological development. Agent Clark's interrogation revealed that the aliens had identified human psychological traits that they found impossible to understand. The scout described how humans could simultaneously show extreme compassion for their own species while displaying unlimited brutality toward perceived enemies. This psychological flexibility was completely alien to species that had evolved more consistent behavioral patterns. The scout explained that most alien species had predictable responses to threats that could be calculated and planned around. Humans were different because their responses seemed to have no upper limits and could change rapidly based on circumstances. This made humans impossible to predict and extremely dangerous to engage in conflict. Dr. Phillips made a breakthrough when she realized that the alien fears were based on their own evolutionary backgrounds. Species that had evolved as prey animals naturally saw human predator traits as threatening. Species that had evolved through cooperation saw human competitive nature as chaotic and dangerous. The psychological profiles showed that aliens viewed human emotions like anger, determination, and loyalty as signs of mental instability. What humans considered normal responses to threats, alien psychologists interpreted as symptoms of a dangerous and unpredictable species. General Davis assembled all the information into a comprehensive report for the president. The report concluded that humanity's isolation in the galaxy had not been due to chance, but because every alien species that discovered humans had decided they were too dangerous to contact directly. The alien intelligence revealed that the galaxy's peaceful civilizations had developed an informal policy of avoiding human space and maintaining careful observation from a safe distance. They had hoped that humans would either destroy themselves or eventually evolve into a more peaceful species. Commander Walsh's analysis suggested that the aliens' current request for human military assistance proved that their fears had been at least partially correct. When faced with an existential threat, the peaceful alien civilizations had concluded that only humans possessed the psychological traits necessary for total warfare. The files indicated that 47 different alien species had contributed to the psychological assessment of humanity. All of them had reached the same conclusion. Humans were the most dangerous intelligent species they had ever encountered, not because of their technology, but because of their unlimited capacity for violence when threatened. Agent Clark's final interrogation session revealed the most important piece of information. The captured scout admitted that the approaching threat from outside the galaxy was species similar to humans. The aliens needed human help not just because humans could fight, but because humans might be the only species capable of understanding and countering an enemy that thought like humans. Dr. Phillips realized that the galaxy's peaceful species had encountered their own version of humanity, coming from outside their galaxy. They were asking Earth's humans to protect them from what amounted to alien humans who had developed along similar evolutionary paths but without developing human concepts of mercy or cooperation. The alien ships had been waiting at the edge of the solar system for 3 weeks when they finally sent another message. This time, the signal came directly to Luna Station, where Earth's newest diplomatic facility was located. Admiral Carter had moved her entire first contact team to the moon after the initial alien transmission. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Stevens was in the command center when the new message arrived. Unlike the first signal, this one contained what appeared to be a request for a meeting. The aliens wanted to talk, and they were asking permission to approach Luna Station with a single small ship. President Robert Turner was in an emergency cabinet meeting within hours of receiving the alien message. Secretary of Defense Maria Santos argued for extreme caution, while the Secretary of State wanted to welcome the aliens immediately. Turner decided to allow the meeting, but with heavy security and strict protocols. The alien ship arrived 2 days later, and it looked nothing like the spacecraft humans had imagined. Instead of being sleek and metallic, it appeared to be grown rather than built with curved surfaces that reminded everyone of a giant seashell. The ship docked at Luna Station using mechanical arms that moved like tentacles. Captain Steve Miller commanded the first contact team that would meet with the aliens. His team included Dr. Amy Johnson, a military psychologist, and Lieutenant Sarah Kim, a communications expert. They waited in the main conference room while the aliens went through decontamination procedures. The first alien to enter the room walked on 4 legs and had skin that changed colors as it moved. Its head was larger than a human head with eyes that seemed to see in all directions at once. When it spoke, the words came through a translation device that made its voice sound mechanical. The alien introduced itself as Ambassador Kethavar of the Zephyrian Empire. It explained that the Zephyrians were one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They had been aware of humans for over 200 Earth years, but had never made contact because of what they called safety protocols. Captain Miller asked why the aliens had been afraid to contact humans. Kethavar's skin shifted to darker colors as it explained that the Galactic Council had been studying the human problem for decades. Every major civilization in their part of the galaxy knew about Earth, but they all agreed that humans were too dangerous for normal diplomatic contact. Dr. Johnson leaned forward and asked what made humans dangerous in the aliens' opinion. Kethavar seemed uncomfortable as its skin continued changing colors rapidly. It said that humans had what the Galactic Council called the Berserker Protocol, which meant they became extremely dangerous when threatened or backed into a corner. The alien explained that most species in the galaxy had evolved from prey animals that survived by hiding or running away from danger. When these species faced a stronger enemy, they would surrender or flee to preserve their lives. Humans were different because they seemed to have no limit to how far they would go to defend themselves. Lieutenant Kim asked for specific examples of what the aliens found so frightening about humans. Kethavar activated a holographic display that showed human historical battles and wars. The alien pointed out how humans had repeatedly defeated larger and better equipped enemies through determination and adaptation. The holographic display showed ancient human battles where vastly outnumbered armies had won through superior tactics and refusal to surrender. It showed how humans had survived ice ages, diseases, and natural disasters that would have destroyed other species. Most disturbing to the aliens was how humans seemed to learn and improve from every conflict. Kethavar explained that the Galactic Council had run computer simulations of what would happen if they tried to conquer or control Earth. Every simulation ended the same way, with humans eventually turning the tables and conquering their would-be conquerors. The aliens had concluded that attacking Earth would eventually result in humans spreading across the galaxy as an unstoppable military force. President Turner joined the meeting by video link from Earth and asked if the aliens had ever actually tested their theories about human behavior. Kethavar's skin turned almost black as it admitted that several species had tried to subjugate primitive human civilizations thousands of years ago. The alien revealed that these early invasion attempts had failed completely. The attacking aliens had expected humans to surrender when faced with superior technology, but instead humans had adapted and learned to use the alien weapons against them. Within generations, the human tribes had not only defeated their attackers, but had completely eliminated the alien colonies. Dr. Johnson asked why the aliens were making contact now if they believed humans were so dangerous. Kethavar explained that the Galactic Council was facing a crisis that required human help. There was a threat coming from outside their galaxy that their peaceful civilizations were not equipped to handle. The aliens said that their computer models showed that only a species with human-like psychological traits could successfully fight this new enemy. The Galactic Council had spent decades trying to find another solution, but eventually concluded they needed humanity's unique capacity for total warfare. Captain Miller wanted to know more about this outside threat, but Kethavar said it would require much longer discussions with human military leaders. The alien did explain that the threat came from a galaxy-spanning empire that conquered other civilizations by completely destroying their ability to resist. Secretary Santos joined the video conference and asked direct questions about the alien military capabilities. Kethavar admitted that while the Galactic Council had superior technology, their species lacked the psychological framework necessary for extended warfare. Most alien species would surrender rather than fight to extinction. The alien explained that this was why humans terrified other species so much. Humans appeared to be the only known intelligent species that would choose mutual destruction rather than surrender. This made humans unpredictable and extremely dangerous to any species that might threaten them. President Turner asked what the aliens wanted from humanity in exchange for sharing their advanced technology and knowledge. Kethavar said the Galactic Council was prepared to offer full membership and access to their technology if humans would agree to serve as the military arm of their alliance. Dr. Johnson pointed out that the aliens seemed to want humans to be their soldiers while they remained safe in their advanced civilizations. Kethavar's skin flashed bright colors as it explained that this was not how they saw the arrangement. They wanted humans as partners, not subordinates. The aliens said that human psychological traits that made them dangerous also made them ideal leaders in crisis situations. The Galactic Council believed that humans could not only fight this outside threat, but could organize the other species into an effective military alliance. Captain Miller asked how long the aliens had before this outside threat reached their galaxy. Kethavar said their long-range sensors suggested they had perhaps 50 Earth years before the enemy arrived in force. This would give humans time to learn alien technology and help prepare the other species for war. The meeting ended with President Turner promising to consider the alien offer, but requesting much more detailed information about both the Galactic Council and the approaching threat. Kethavar agreed to remain at Luna Station, while more alien representatives arrived to begin formal negotiations. As the alien left the conference room, Dr. Johnson told Captain Miller that she believed Kethavar had been telling the truth about alien fears of humanity. The psychological profiles matched what she knew about how prey species would react to natural predators. Humans might indeed be the only species in the galaxy psychologically equipped for total war. Commander Jake Morrison sat in the cold metal chair staring at the screen that showed nothing but empty space and distant stars. The Deep Space Monitoring Station orbited far beyond Pluto, where Earth was just another tiny dot of light. For 3 years, Jake had watched the darkness looking for signals that never came. His job was to find aliens, but most days he wondered if they even existed. The coffee in his cup had gone cold hours ago, but Jake kept sipping it anyway. His shift would end in 2 hours, and then he could sleep for 8 hours before doing it all again. The routine never changed until today, when the computer started making sounds they had never made before. Jake jumped up and ran to the main console, where red lights were flashing everywhere. The signal detector was going crazy with numbers and patterns scrolling across multiple screens. Something was sending a message from deep space, and it was not coming from Earth. He pressed the record button and began typing notes as fast as he could. The signal was strong and clear, which meant whatever was sending it had very powerful transmitters. Jake had trained for this moment, but now that it was happening, his hands were shaking, and his heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. The message lasted exactly 17 minutes and then stopped. Jake played it back 3 times before he realized the signal contained mathematical patterns that looked like they might be some kind of language. He immediately sent an emergency alert to Admiral Lisa Carter at Earth Defense Command. Admiral, Carter was in a meeting about budget cuts when her phone buzzed with the priority alert. She read Jake's message twice before standing up and walking out of the meeting without saying a word. Her assistant tried to follow her, but Carter waved him away and headed straight to the communications center. 20 minutes later, Carter was on a secure video call with Jake, who looked like he had not slept in days, even though the signal had only arrived 4 hours ago. Jake explained everything he knew about the message while Carter took careful notes and asked questions. The signal came from a direction in space where no human ships had ever traveled. It was definitely artificial and seemed to contain complex information beyond simple mathematics. Most importantly, the message appeared to be directed specifically toward Earth's solar system. Carter made the decision to classify everything about the signal at the highest security level. Only a few dozen people in the entire government would be allowed to know about it. She also ordered Jake to monitor that section of space continuously and report any new signals immediately. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Captain Danny Rodriguez was having problems of his own. His exploration ship, New Horizon, had discovered what looked like an abandoned space station floating in the darkness between star systems. The station was clearly built by aliens because its design was completely different from anything humans had ever made. Danny ordered his crew to approach carefully while scanning the station for any signs of life. The scans showed the station was empty but still had power running through some of its systems. Whatever aliens had built it were gone, but they had left everything behind. The docking process took 3 hours because the alien airlock was designed completely differently from human ships. Danny's chief engineer, Lisa Wong, had to modify their docking tube just to make a seal. When they finally got inside the station, the crew found rooms filled with equipment they did not recognize and walls covered with symbols they could not read. Danny split his crew into teams to explore different sections of the station. He took the team that found what looked like the main computer room. The computers were still running and displaying information in the alien language. Danny's science officer, Kate Park, began taking pictures of everything while trying to understand how the alien computers worked. It took Kate 6 hours to figure out how to access the alien files. When she finally succeeded, the first thing she found made Danny call an emergency meeting with his entire crew. The alien computers contained detailed information about Earth and the human species. The files included pictures of human cities, maps of Earth's continents, and even recordings of human television and radio broadcasts. The most disturbing discovery was a file labeled with symbols that Kate translated as Observation Protocol, Species, 2847 Human. The file contained strict rules about watching humans from a safe distance and never making direct contact. It warned that humans were extremely dangerous and should be studied only from far away. Danny immediately sent an encrypted message to Earth Command reporting their discovery. The message would take months to reach Earth because they were so far away, but this information was too important to wait. He ordered his crew to copy everything from the alien computers before leaving the station. Dr. Helen Brooks was working late in her lab at the Xenobiology Institute when she received the classified files from Earth Command. As the planet's leading expert on the possibility of alien life, she had security clearance to read the most sensitive reports. What she found in the files from Danny's mission made her cancel all her meetings for the next week. The alien station contained references to 43 different alien species that had been watching Earth. Each species had files about human behavior technology and military capabilities. All the files contained warnings about something called the human paradox, and recommended that their species avoid direct contact with humans at all costs. Helen spent days translating alien symbols and trying to understand why so many different species were afraid of humans. The files mentioned human wars and how quickly humans adapted to new weapons and tactics. They noted how humans never seemed to give up even when facing impossible odds. Most troubling were references to something called the Berserker Protocol that apparently described human behavior when threatened. As Helen continued reading, she realized that Earth was not alone in the galaxy and never had been. Dozens of alien civilizations knew about humans and had been watching them for decades or maybe centuries. But instead of making contact or trying to conquer Earth, they had all decided to stay away because they were afraid of what humans might do if threatened. The implications were staggering. Earth's isolation was not because aliens did not exist or because they had not found Earth. Humans were alone because every alien species that discovered them decided they were too dangerous to approach. Helen immediately began writing a report that would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. Admiral Carter received Helen's preliminary report the same day that monitoring stations detected unusual activity at the edge of the solar system. Multiple alien ships were gathering just outside the orbit of Neptune, but they were not approaching Earth. They seemed to be waiting for something while maintaining what looked like a very respectful and careful distance from the inner solar system.